with your host, Curtis Thomas. Now you know sports news.
What's up, fans? Welcome to Now You Know. I'm your host, Curtis Thomas. Man, this past weekend was crazy. It was rivalry week in college football, some big NFL games, and major baseball trades. Let's kick it off with some college football. The best week of college football, rivalry weekend. Most of these games had a lot on the line. Let's start off in Alabama with the number 1 ranked Crimson Tide face the Auburn Tigers in the Iron Bowl. These two teams have been playing each other for 78 years, but it's the first time they play and both teams are ranked in the top 5. Alabama was looking to extend their 15-game win streak. The Auburn Tigers are just trying to knock off the best team in the land for the last 3 years. The winner heads to Atlanta for the SEC championship game and one step closer to the national title. Before the game started, Alabama was the big favorite. But by the start of the fourth quarter, the game was tied at 21. Alabama was the first team to score in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes left. Auburn wouldn't quit there. With 32 seconds left in the game, the Auburn Tigers tied it. So we're headed to overtime, right? Psych. With 1 second left, Alabama had a choice. Kick a 57-yard field goal or a Hail Mary pass. Nick Saban decided on kicking a 57-yard field goal. The kick is up. It looks good, but it's short and caught by Chris Davis from the Auburn Tigers and returned 109 yards for the game-winning touchdown. What a stunning win. What a great play by Chris Davis. What a horrible call by Nick Saban. But that's college football. So now that the number 1 team in the nation for the last 3 years were upset against the Tigers, who will play in the national championship now? The way it looks, Florida State will face Ohio State, depending on the outcome of their conference championship games. Florida State plays Duke. Yes, the Duke Blue Devils for the ACC championship. Win, and they're in the national title. And Ohio State, who just got by Michigan during their rivalry weekend, stamped their ticket to the Big Ten championship to play Michigan State. Win, and Ohio State should be in the national title game. Now Auburn, with 1 loss, will need Ohio State or Florida State to lose and then beat Missouri Tigers in the SEC championship. If that happens, Auburn will play in the national title game and try to end the BCS era with 8 in a row championships for the SEC. Wow. The SEC also won the first national title in the BCS era. Many always argue what 2 teams should be playing for the national title. I feel Florida State should play Auburn, but that's just my opinion. Luckily, next year, we won't need to have this conversation because finally, college football will have a playoff system. Now for some baseball news. A lot of big deals happened and still a lot of big deals to be made. Red Sox signed catcher A.J. Pierzynski to a 1-year deal. Yankees made some big moves signing catcher Brian McCann from the Braves and outfielder Jacoby Ellsbury from their rival Red Sox. Yankee management spent a total of $238 million between 2 deals. And there's still lots of moves for the Yankees to make. Mets are closer to signing Yankee center fielder Curtis Granderson. And does Robinson Cano stay with the Yanks or go? Mariners look very interested in Robinson Cano, and there's still lots of other major moves to be made for baseball. We'll look forward to those. Okay, after this break, we'll have some NBA news. Now, the NBA season started on October 29th, and I'm a huge basketball fan. But to me and most NBA fans, the season really doesn't start until Christmas Day or after the football season. However, there are a few interesting things going on in the NBA. In LA, Kobe practiced and dunked with his left hand, hoping to return Sunday against the Toronto Raptors. Other NBA news, a matchup between the Orlando Magic and the 76ers was a game for the books. For the first time in the NBA, 2 rookies on opposing teams both registered triple-doubles. Also, Miami Heat tipped off against the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons ended Miami's 10-game winning streak with a 107-97 victory. Miami tried to come back with 4 minutes left, but Brandon Jennings hit a couple huge shots and closed the game. Let's stay in the NBA East. There are only 2 teams in the Eastern Conference with over a 500 record. That's the Indiana Pacers and the Miami Heat. The 3rd-seeded team in the Eastern Conference are the Washington Wizards with a 9-9 record. The Western Conference Phoenix Suns are 9-9, and they're the 12th seed. This has the Western Conference upset. Many are asking for a change in the NBA playoff format. I agree, but it's too late to change it this year. But next year, it should be changed. The top 4 teams of each conference make the playoffs, and the next 8 teams with the best record, regardless of conference, should make the playoffs. Sounds good to me. Hopefully they get that done by next year. More NBA news. The NBA tried to play a game in Mexico City, Mexico for the first time in 16 years. It was a matchup between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. The arena would suddenly have to be evacuated after the generator caught on fire and smoke filled the arena. So much for trying to play an NBA game in Mexico. That's it for the NBA. On this day in sports history, December 4th, 1997, during the Golden State Warriors practice, former guard Latrell Sprewell choked his coach P.J. Carlesimo due to built-up anger and frustration. NBA Commissioner David Stern had no choice but to suspend Sprewell for 68 games, costing Sprewell $6 million and a shoe deal. But the following year, Sprewell signed with the New York Knicks. In 1999, the Knicks and Sprewell made it to the NBA Finals, eventually losing to Tim Duncan and David Robinson, the Spurs' Twin Towers. The 4-time All-Star finished his career averaging 18 points a game. But no matter how good Latrell Sprewell was on the court, he'll always be remembered as a player who choked his coach. So if you didn't know, now you know. When we return, I'll have my predictions for Week 14 in the NFL. My predictions for Week 14 in the NFL. Texas at Jacksonville, a matchup between the 2 worst teams in the NFL. This game can decide who gets the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. I think the Texans win this one, even though it'd be better off if they lose. Next, Colts at Bengals. Both teams are 8-4 and on top of their division. Colts are struggling lately, but I'm going to go with the Colts anyways. Falcons at Green Bay. Packers have no Aaron Rodgers, so no W for the Pack. Browns against the Patriots. This one's easy. Not that easy. I wouldn't be surprised if Browns pull this one off. But I'm going with the Patriots. Raiders facing the Jets. Both teams fighting for a playoff spot. And the spotlight is on rookie quarterback Geno Smith. He better embrace the light or embrace the bench. The game's in New York, so I'm going to ride with the Jets. Lions against the Eagles. 2 7-5 teams. Lions are trying to stay on top of the NFC North, while Eagles are trying to get in the playoffs. It's an outdoor game. Eagles soar and get the W. Dolphins versus Steelers. First-time wide receiver Mike Wallace returns to Pittsburgh since signing with Miami. Both teams need a win if they want to have any chance of making the playoffs. I'm going to swim with the Dolphins on this one. Buffalo versus Tampa Bay. I'm jumping on the Buccaneers ship. They've been looking like the team we expected to start the year before all the Freeman drama. Chiefs take on the Redskins. Battle of the Tribes. I'm rolling with the Chiefs over the struggling Redskins and RG3. Chiefs defense is just too much for Shanahan and Son. Next, Vikings against Ravens. Who will play quarterback for the Vikings? Christian Ponder or Matt Castle? It doesn't matter. Ravens still win and keep their playoff hopes alive. Titans travel to Mile High and play the Broncos. This might sound crazy, but I'm going with the Titans. Yep, that's my upset pick. Rams travel to Arizona. Arizona need a win. They better win if they want to stay in the playoff shots. Next, Giants get to visit Southern California and play the Chargers. Whichever team has the least turnovers, that team will win. Rivers should have the better game and lead the Chargers to victory. Cam Newton and the 9-3 Panthers look to take control of the NFC South when they play the Saints for the first time this year. The game is on Sunday Night Football. Winner will take the division lead. The hot Panthers are on an 8-game win streak, and the Saints just came off an embarrassing defeat to the Seattle Seahawks. Saints and Panthers will see each other twice in 3 weeks. Neither team can afford a loss if they want a first-round bye in the playoffs. I'm taking the Panthers in this one. Even though it's at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, Panthers easily have a better defense, and the way Cam Newton and his offense is running, it's going to be hard to beat the Panthers. Last Monday Night Football, what a disappointing game. The two best teams in the NFC, record-wise, faced off. Both teams are much better at home. Saints with a great offense and Seattle with a great defense. Which will prevail? Defense, duh. It wasn't even close. 34-7 favoring Seattle. Saints played the whole game like they were homesick, with less than 200 total yards. Russell Wilson looked very good, leading his team to an 11-1 start, best in the NFL. After that big win over the Saints, Seahawks will have to leave their 12th man behind and travel to Candlestick Park and face the 49ers. Huge NFC West division game. 49ers need a victory to maintain their wild card spot in the playoffs, also to keep pace with the Seahawks. They need to return the whooping they received from the Seahawks earlier this year. I can't wait for this one. It's going to be a nasty game. These teams do not like each other. Both teams want to win. Both teams also want to prove they have the best defense in football. Who you got winning this game? I'm taking the mighty 49ers. Watch it Sunday at 1:25 on Fox. And the last game, Monday Night Football, Cowboys at Chicago. Jay Cutler has a chance to play. If he plays, Cowboys have no chance of winning. You know what? Even if Cutler doesn't play, I'm going with the Bears. Bear defense slowed down Cowboys' run game, adding just enough pressure to Tony Romo, and he'll crack, just like he always does in December. Well, that's my predictions for Week 14 in the NFL. Thanks for watching this week's show of Now You Know. I'm your host, Curtis. See you next week.
With your host, Curtis Thomas, Now You Know Sports News.